We have, of course, you will through the all access, the bottom all access, you will have access to those virtual seminars that we're going to be featuring, and you will also have access to Faith Essentials. Faith Essentials is a beautiful hub, summarized brief topic with a variety of instructors to one instructor. So you have that with Faith Essentials, and the beautiful thing about All Access Pass is that you will get Faith Essentials for a lifetime, and you get access to all the live seminar, all the virtual seminars that we're going to be having, inshallah. So I know I saw Sheikh Waleed Basyouni earlier. I think he's adjusting the microphone or the camera. So yes, Shermeen and company, I guess, Jazakumullah khair for turning on your camera. I didn't thank you for that. And Rika, Jazakallah khair for turning on your camera. That's one way, again, that we could support the instructor and give him that live crowd audience. So as you all know right now, we're going to go over approximately 30 minutes or so of the story of Sayyidina Lut. Then we're going to open it up, and then after that, we're going to have the Quran reflection circles, also with Sheikh Waleed Basyouni. All right? We're also going to have that with Sheikh Waleed Basyouni. And before we begin, before I pass it on to Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, once I see that his camera is on, we would like to thank, of course, Human Concern International, HCI, for being our partners for this wonderful. I think there's a massive echo there. For being our partners for the series of the prophets and the devils. So, Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, I see that you're here.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you doing, Sheikh?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, so lovely to see you. Bismillah, tafaddal mashkooran. The floor is all yours.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. All praise due to Allah and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today we will have a new story about one of the prophets and messengers, one of the great prophets and messengers that the Quran spoke about his story in several surahs, more than 9 times in the Quran, mentioning the story of Prophet Lut alayhi salam. Lut, the son of Haran ibn Tarih or Azar. And that immediately, maybe bring your memory, because Ibrahim alayhi salam also is the son of Azar, of Tarih. So that means Lut is basically the son of Ibrahim's brother. So Lut's father is a brother of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So he is his nephew. And that shows you they grow up in the same place. They grow up in Iraq. And there is a debate which part of Iraq Lut and Ibrahim alayhi salam were from. Some people said كانوا في سواد الكوفة, which is southern of Iraq, southern of Baghdad today. And some people said no, they were actually from the north of Iraq, where the Kurds lives today, or Harran. But many scholars said that this is maybe not a strong opinion. Anyhow, Lut alayhi salam, born, raised in the Iraq region in the time of Ibrahim alayhi salam. He believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He believed in the message of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Then his support and his Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to us, فَآمَنَ لَهُ لُوط, and referred to Ibrahim alayhi salam, that so Lut believed in him. What that means, believed in him. Some ulama said, he believed in the message of Ibrahim alayhi salam, but some said he believed in Ibrahim when he saw Ibrahim was thrown in the fire and never was burned by the fire. You know the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, when they threw him in the fire and the fire didn't burn his body, only burned the robes that they tied his hand and legs with. At that moment, Lut believed in him. Some scholars said that. Al-Alusi, rahimahullah, rejected that idea, and he said, this opinion is weak. Lut is a believer way before that time, because none of the prophet and messenger ever have committed shirk or was upon shirk, then transferred to Tawheed or believed in Tawheed. Never happened in any prophet before. And he said that's not appropriate to be attributed to Lut alayhi salam. Taking consideration, this incident happened to Ibrahim alayhi salam in his 70s. So in late 70s too, or at least in the 70s. Not expected for Lut alayhi salam not to be a believer during that time. So he believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He believed in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's something Al-Razi rahimahullah tried to reconcile. He said, no, Lut was a believer in Allah and Tawheed and the message, but he believed in Ibrahim as a prophet and messenger at that point when he saw the miracle. And also that's very weak, because if Ibrahim alayhi salam called to Tawheed before that, he will believe in Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he will know that Ibrahim is a messenger from Allah. Ibrahim doesn't lie. So that doesn't even work. Anyway, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَآمَنَ لَهُ لُوطٌ, فَآمَنَ لَهُ لُوطٌ, which it means أي نصروه. آمَنَ لَهُ غير آمَنَ بِهِ. آمَنَ بِهِ, it means he believed in him. آمَنَ لَهُ, it means basically submit themselves to Lut alayhi salam, and they followed him. صدقه, he believed in him, he believed in what he says is the truth, and he followed him. And Ibrahim alayhi salam ended up leaving his town or his city or his region, the whole entire region of Iraq, and only followed by two, his nephew Lut. By the way, some people said that he wasn't the son of his brother, he was the son of his sister. But most of the scholars said he's the son of his brother. And his wife Sarah, which is she is his cousin too, Ibnatu Ammi. So that's the only two who believed in him. Was Sarah a sister of Lut? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But he was his cousin, sorry, not nephew. I said nephew. Some said his nephew, but it's not a strong opinion. But the majority said he was his cousin. So him, Ibrahim, Lut, Sarah left Al-Iraq. And towards where? Towards the promised land to Ibrahim, the blessed land, which is the land of Palestine. And this known in the history as Bilad al-Sham. They traveled. Can you imagine? After almost 80 years of da'wah to the people of Iraq, none followed Ibrahim. He left alone. After this miracle that happened, nothing. Only Lut alayhi salam, this young man with him. And they traveled together to Bilad al-Sham. And they left to the Palestine. And Ibrahim at that time was in his late 70s, okay, or some said 75. Inni muhajirun ila Rabbi. He said, قال وقال إني مهاجر إلى ربي. Ibrahim said, I am migrating to my Lord. I'm migrating to my Lord. So with this been said here, until here, the story of Lut alayhi salam Ibrahim connected together, and it will continue connected together. They moved to Bilad al-Sham, to Palestine together. But at that moment, there were, after a while, after they settled, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Ibrahim alayhi salam that there will be so many of your children, prophets and messengers, and they will live here. So he ordered Ibrahim to start a place of worship and a place where people can offer sacrifice as a thank to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he settled in the east side of Jerusalem, and he settled there for a while, but an absolute drought, a great drought happened in Palestine at that time. Hunger and drought and it was very hard to live. So Ibrahim alayhi salam decided to discover other areas, and he traveled with his wife to Egypt in the story that you all know of. And they go to Egypt, and the king of Egypt heard about this man who came as a stranger. And it was a habit of that people at that time that when they go, when this king, when he hear of some foreigner coming or visitor and they have a wife, they will sleep with their wife. Very, very evil, very bad how they treat traveler and a stranger. I guess it's a long history of dealing people at the border in a bad way, and people who migrate in a wrong way to your land in a bad way. That's not something new in history. Anyway, but you will see how common this is as we go in the story of Lut. That the issue of treating stranger and traveler and people who visiting and passing by bad was something common at that time, unfortunately. Anyway, I'm gonna go to the story of Ibrahim. You heard the story of Sarah alayhi salam. Ibrahim came back to Palestine with his wife Sarah after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them. And guess who? With who? With Hajar, which has been given to him by the king of Egypt. Why I mentioned the story? I mentioned the story because there's something in the story telling us a little bit about Lut. What in the story telling us about Lut? That Ibrahim alayhi salam told his wife, I don't know anyone on the face of this earth is a believer except us. Okay? Because he tell the king that you are my sister, not my wife, so he will not touch you. And he said to her, you are my sister in Islam, okay, in religion. And I don't know anyone who is upon religion except me and you. The ulama rahimahullah said, how can he say there's no mu'min, there's no believer in the face of the earth except me and you? And what about Lut? Wasn't he a mu'min? Because he said in the face of the earth. ليس على وجه الأرض مؤمن إلا أنا وأنت. So the ulama said he meant there is no in the face of the earth, okay, any couples who are believers except me and you. Except me and you. So either at that moment, Lut was not married yet, he's still in Jerusalem, or he married to his wife and it was known to Ibrahim that his wife is not a believer, and I don't agree with that second option. But the first one seems to be the correct one. So at that point, Lut alayhi salam is not even married yet. And it looks like he's still in Jerusalem. So when he came back, Ibrahim alayhi salam, to Jerusalem and to Palestine today, he basically decided that Lut alayhi salam will move not far away from Ibrahim alayhi salam, and he moved to a land which is kind of lower land. It's like under the sea level. Ghur, known, they call it Zaghr, in a Sadum. And this Sadum is the main city, but it is surrounded with so many cities. This region have 400,000 people living. That's Sadum, and the surrounding villages. The ulama rahimahullah said there were 400,000 people. And in some narration, some of the tabi'in said, actually it was 4 million, 4 million living in that area. So it was very populated area. Why do you think it's so populated? What do you think the reason that this area has a lot of people moved in and lived and settled? I bet you anything like this, if this is 4 million, that's a lot of people. Or even 400,000, that's a lot of people still. The reason, because it was very prosper area, has a lot of gardens, and it was very well known to be a very prosper area. Anyway, and that's why people used to come to it a lot. And the people of these villages, كانوا أشرارا كفارا فجارا. They were evil, disbelievers. They have no hesitation to do evil things. and kind of they have all these kind of weird things that they do, very bad akhlaq, very bad attitude. And among the things that we know about them, number one, that they used to worship idols. Okay, they used to worship idols. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that one of the first things that he called his, so before even I go to there, so Lut alayhi salam moved from where Ibrahim is to this new land. He married from them. He was not from their tribes. He married a woman from them, and he became their brother. That's why Akhuhum Lut, their brother Lut, because he became in-laws. You know, your own laws like family. You know, my son-in-law like my son, my brother-in-law like a brother to me. So he became part of it, to his people. Why? Because he married from them and he lived with them long enough. But he was not originally from them, as you heard. He's from Al-Iraq. Anyway, and that shows you an important lessons. We can even mention it right now. When you move to a place and you become part of it, you know, you can call it home. You know, I call Houston home. I don't call the place where I born or I grew up in home today. I call this is home. And that's good thing, because many times we're stuck in this like zone. We're not here, we're not there. You know, you keep living that dilemma in your life. This is home, this is my place, this is my people, this is my, and that's interesting how Quran make that very clear. Anyway, the Quran tells us also in Surah Shara, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كذبت قوم لوط المرسلين إذ قال لهم أخوهم لوط ألا تتقون إني لكم رسول أمين فاتقوا الله وأطيعون وما أسألكم عليه من أجر إن أجري إلا على رب العالمين. The people of Lut rejected the messengers. When their brother Lut said to them, will you not fear Allah? At-taqwa, it could be fear Allah, but at-taqwa also means, in many places in the Quran, it carries three meanings. The word taqwa carries three meanings. Number one, worship Allah alone. That you don't associate other with Allah. You don't commit shirk. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ ثُمَّ نُنَجِّي الَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا يعني الموحدين. Allah accept from the muwahideen, people of taqwa, and people of tawheed. So here when he told them, أَلَا تَتَّقُونَ فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, asking them to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, to be, not to associate other with him. And he said, I'm a messenger to you. Also, we learn from the other verses where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that every messenger said to his people, don't worship other than Allah and worship Allah alone. Anyway, so he called them for the tawheed, which it shows you that they used to worship idols. We don't have a details what kind of idols that they worship. But Ibn Kathir rahimahullah said, he asked them to worship Allah and to leave these things that they used to worship beside him, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to obey the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another thing very distinguished about those people, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them. In many verses in the Quran, every time the story comes, this will be mentioned, and it will be the central of focus in the story. وَلُوطًا إِذْ قَالَ لِقَوْمِهِ أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ مَا سَبَقَكُم بِهَا مِنْ أَحَدٍ مِنَ الْعَالَمِينَ أَإِنَّكُمْ لَتَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالَ شَهْوَةً مِنْ دُونِ النِّسَاءِ بَلْ أَنْتُمْ قَوْمٌ مُسْرِفُونَ. And remember, when Lut told his people that you basically you come or you approach or you want men. You want men. And he said you commit a shameful deed that no man has ever done before you. You lost a fair man instead of woman. You are certainly transgressor. Right? Is it was only limited to that? Actually, no. Many of the mufassirin said they were men were desiring men and women desiring women. انتشر فيهم أيضا السحاق. They don't want. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in another verse said, and you leave your spouses that Allah have made for you, your spouse. So the woman will leave her spouse, who's a man, and the man will leave his spouse, which is the woman, to another man, or to and she will leave it for another woman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that this practice of homosexuality was something known among the people of Lut before Lut migrated to the city. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Hud, وَجَاءَهُ قَوْمُهُ يُهْرَعُونَ إِلَيْهِ وَمِن قَبْلُ كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ السَّيِّئَاتِ. His people rushed to him when they heard about his guests, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to them that and they used to practice this before. Yani they used to desire men before the time of Lut alayhi salam. قال الطبري رحمه الله كانوا يأتون الرجال في أدبارهم. They will have a sexual relationship with men in their bottoms. That's how he said it, rahimahullah ta'ala. And they used to sleep with men. That's how the Mufassirin do it. Some ulama, rahimahullah, said, like Al-Mawardi, he said that this has appeared in them 40 years before Lut migrated to that city, or moved to that city. 40 years before he came to them, this practice was known to them. And also in Surah An-Naml, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قال وَلُوطًا إِذْ قَالَ لِقَوْمِهِ أَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ وَأَنْتُمْ تُبْصِرُونَ. Ya salam. He said, remember when Lut, when he rebuked the men of his people, saying, do you commit the shameful deed while you see one another? Yani even this practice of homosexuality and intercourse that they do with one another, men and men, women and women, publicly in front of each other. They used to sit in their gathering and they will be doing it to each other, open in the street, open in the gathering, in their clubs, in their places of gathering. No shameful, no shame. Do you really lust after men instead of women? In fact, you are only people acting ignorantly. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إِنَّكُمْ قَوْمٌ تَجْهَلُونَ. Muhammad ibn Ishaq tell us why this practice appeared. How did they start this? How this idea came about. So Muhammad ibn Ishaq mentioned, and most likely this is things they took it from the people of the book. They said their villages was very prosperous. A lot of fruit, a lot of food, a lot of water, a lot of beautiful gardens. So a lot of people used to come to their village and to their places, and to basically share these resources with them and take from them. And they used to bother them a lot of these people who come to their city. So Iblis came to them in the shape of a wise man, or like acting like a wise man. And he said, you know what? If you want people to stop coming to you, anyone pass by you, anybody come to your village, what you need to take that person and basically do it to them. Yani have intercourse with them. And he will be shameful, and he will not show his face again in your city. It's a way to shameful that. So anyway, that's what Muhammad ibn Ishaq said. And they did. And after they did, they kind of like the idea. And it became something, next generation saw it been done, and it became something common. And after that, they were doing it to young men and so forth. وَكَانُوا لَا يَفْعَلُونَ هَذَا إِلَّا بِالْغُرَبَاء. He said, Al-Hasan al-Basri said, they will only do this to strangers. They will not do it to their own people. They will do it with the people who are not from their tribes. Al-Kalbi, rahimahullah, also mentioned something similar to that, but he said that the first time that this happened, that Iblis came to them, and basically he offered them to do. He came in a form of a young, handsome man, and he said, "I offer myself to you to try." And that the first time that it happened, and it became a practice afterwards. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became angry at them and he destroyed their villages. But the point of Quran mentioned that was the first time this type of practice took place. Like some people argue that they might find, oh, historically speaking, maybe there is incident here and there. Some people before that used to practice. Al-ulama rahimahullah answered this, Ibn Kathir, Al-Qurtubi, and many said, first, no proof, valid proof that it was exist before their time. And if we agree that maybe there is some trace of it, there is no village or a whole city or an entire country or entire region and nation and tribe agreed on this act except them. Maybe it happened as incident here and there. Okay. Like another thing that the ulama al-Quran tells about them, that they're not only doing sins, they're doing it openly, proudly. Okay, they don't just hide it. Also, one of the things that the Quran speak about those people and the people of Lut, that they have very bad manners. They have no standard of morality. They have no proper etiquette, especially in their gathering with their guests or with the people who are passing by. Also, Quran speaks about those people that they used to terrify stranger. They used to abuse travelers, and they will rob them, and they will rape them, and they will take their what they have and what they possess. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran in Surah Al-Ankabut, وَلُوطًا إِذْ قَالَ لِقَوْمِهِ إِنَّكُمْ لَتَأْتُونَ الْفَاحِشَةَ ما سبقكم بها من أحد من العالمين أئنكم لتأتون الرجال وتقطعون السبيل وتأتون في ناديكم المنكر. In Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 28 and 29. And remember, when Lut rebuked the men of his people, you certainly commit shameful deed that no man has ever done before you. Do you really lust after other men, abuse the travelers, and practice immorality openly in your gatherings? His people's only response was to say, mocking, bring Allah's punishment upon us if you say it's true. And also, وَتَأْتِينَ فِي الْمُنْكَرِ, يعني the evil things. You practice evil, bad things. So, how they will abuse the traveler. وَتَقْطَعُونَ السَّبِيلِ. The word وَتَقْطَعُونَ السَّبِيلِ, the translation, abuse the travel. تَقْطَعُونَ السَّبِيلِ, you cut what? السَّبِيل could means, يعني you cut your lineage, because when you do that, you don't have children. So that's one interpretation. But most of the scholars said, السَّبِيل, it could be both, opinion correct, because there's no contradiction. السَّبِيل الطريق, يعني you abuse the traveler. Okay, and when somebody passed by you, you used to abuse them. They used to kidnap them, they take them, they rape them. They said this is the only way to pass is to give yourself up for us, especially if that man is a handsome man or a young man. Also, al-munkar, immoral, openly immoral, bad things. You will find many narrations from the Sahaba, the Tabi'een. Just for the lack of the time, I'm not going to mention names and references for scholars of tafsir, but just this is basically what you will find in the books of tafsir in general. That they said, for example, when they used to gather, they used to release gas and fart openly in front of each other with no shame. Okay, قالوا يتضارطون في مجالسهم. طيب, that's Aisha radiallahu anha. That's how the immoral, how immoral they were. They used to pass gas and sound, openly with no shame. And when someone passed by them, they used to throw stones on them. Okay, and some narrations said if they hit the person, let's say group of people, if they hit someone with the stone and it hit that person, they go and grab the person and they will just making fun of people. Power, if somebody passing by, they will throw on them. If one of them touched by the stone, they will go take that person and force them into sex. That shows you the nature of that abuse. So that practice of homosexuality or liwat or same sex of the same gender was not something even, it was many times done by force on the people. And I'm saying this because later on, you'll find people said, okay, so maybe the problem was the force. It both, the force, it make it worse, but also the act in itself, it is haram. Anyway, there is even narration from the Prophet ﷺ said that the evil thing that they used to do, they used to stone people while they're walking and making fun of people, So that's some of their attitude, akhlaq, their manners. Also, among the things that the scholar said, that in their gathering, they will openly have this kind of relationships and يفعلونه بدون مدارة, without covering. Okay. Also, one of the things that was mentioned, that when they are gathering, a person will uncover their private part, okay, to scratch it or to touch it in front of the others, no problem. Okay, and Al-Baghawi mentioned that when they sit in the where the traveler pass, they used to sit and they have a plate has stones, and if they throw it, if it touched someone, they will take him and they will rape the person, and they will ask the person to pay them 3 dirhams and appoint a judge to see how many times this can be done to the person and how much he should be paid and how many people can sleep with that person. Can you imagine? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And these counted to show you how far those people gone. They didn't need women anymore. They only care to fulfill that desire. So even, and that's interesting to see how the fitra changed, that they have no desire. And that's how they describe, they have no desire at all. And that's new generation came later, have no desire for women. They only desire men. And that's how exactly it was described. Makhul, which is a great tabi'i, said the bad character traits that those people had were 10. When they gathered, they used to chew their gums in a very provocative way. And they used to paint their nails with hinna. The men act like women. وَحَلُّ الْإِزَارِ, they used to show their aura. And they used to وَتَنْقِيضُ الْأَصَابِعِ, they crack their fingers in the gathering. When somebody talking, he keep basically cracking their fingers and making noise while you're talking to them. No respect. And he said, وَرَمْيُ الْجُلَاهِرِ, يعني, it's like they take small stones and throw it at people. And as-safir, they will whistle. وَاللُّطِيَّةِ, and al-liwat. وَلِعْبُ الْحَمَامِ, and they used to play with pigeon and animal. And when they have a singer, okay, they bring a singer to sing and to dance for them. Then, and this is interesting, and he said, وَحَلُّ إِزَارِ الْقِيَانِ, while she is singing and dancing, she will be stripping. She will take her clothes to strip in front of them. So you can see how the shaitan repeat the same, sins again, recycle his tricks and know that this is deceive human beings. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu and Abi said, "Inna qawm Lut kana fihum dhunub ghayr al-fahisha." Qawm Lut has many other sins other than the same-sex marriage or same-sex, having sexual relationship with the same gender, other than liwat. So that shows you that this is not something only one. You also, Al-Qurtubi mentioned something interesting. He said, قال ويلبسون المصبغات, they used to dress like women, okay, and used to paint and beautify themselves, what we call today like a makeup. And they used to bring animals fight with one another, which is haram thing, because that's torture for animals. Like They used to bring roosters to fight each other to death, and animals like rams. Okay, wakana, women used to act like women and dress like men. وتتشبه النساء والرجال بالنساء, and some men will dress like women. And also they will take money from the people who passing by them. وكانوا يشركون بالله وأظهروا اللوطية والسحاق يقول. And they were disbeliever in Allah, they associate other than Allah, and they practice liwat and sihaq, which is homosexuality. They were mufsideen, corrupt, and they spread corruption, and they forced their corruption on others. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قَالَ رَبِّ انصُرْنِي عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. Lut said and prayed, my Lord, help me against the people of corruption. The people of corruption. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the same verses, Surah Al-Ankabut 34, قال فأنزلنا عليهم قال إن أهلها كانوا ظالمين. The people of this village, Sodom, they basically were wrong, persisted in wrongdoing. Later on, another verse after that, two verses after that, بما كانوا يفسقون. We destroyed this village as a result of their fisq, rebelliousness. Because of all this corruption, Allah sent to them Lut. Lut lived among them, my brothers and sisters, years and years, giving them da'wah, advising them, and calling them to tawheed, calling them to purity. And guess what? They hated it, and they threatened him. If you don't desist, Lut, you will surely be expelled from our city. And they threatened him. And because Lut is a foreigner, he's not from their tribe, he said, لو أن لي بكم قوة. If I only have a strength, I will fight you. Strength because he has no followers. He has only 2 daughters, in some narration 3. Okay, and his wife, that's it. No followers. Can you imagine? He lives all these years among them. Not a single one believes in him. Not a single one changed. So he said, I don't have followers to fight you, to resist you. Or if I have ruknin shadid, or could I rely in a strong support, a strong supporter? And rukn shadid means family, tribe, something like that. I don't have that. Okay? Ashira, as bin Mufassir rahimahullah said. And he couldn't. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Lut, may Allah have mercy on Lut. He has something strong to rely on, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anyway, so Lut, all this debate come back and forth. They know Lut, they don't take him serious. They didn't believe in him until a time have come. Khalas. They threaten him to kick him out of the village, and they don't want him to be with them anymore. So there's no point from this message to basically they don't want this messenger anymore. And they challenged him, said, "I'tina bi'adabillah." They said, you know what? Bring Allah's punishment upon us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, since they ask for it, they will get it. He made his dua. He said, my Lord, help me against the people of corruption. If you read all the stories that you have studied so far, when the Prophet make the dua against his people, that's it. Because that's a breaking point in the Prophet. That's why the Prophet, if he rushed to make the dua, he regrets. He feels that it was too early. Because the moment he made the dua, that's it. So when he did, he knew that there is something coming. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to give victory to Lut alayhi salam. And instead, how you feel? Not a single one believed in you. Not a single follower. How would you feel? You feel down. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to honor Lut alayhi salam by sending to him who? The best 3 angels that he has. Jibreel wa Mikael wa Lut. The leader of all the angels, the top of the best of the best. He sent it to them. But before they came to him, they went to Ibrahim alayhi salam to give him the glad tidings of the children, as you know the story. Ibrahim asked them, ما خطبكم أيها المرسلون? What is your mission, O messengers? They replied, we have actually been sent to a wicked people. قالوا إنا أرسلنا إلى قوم مجرمين لنرسل عليهم حجارة من طين مسومة عند ربك للمسرفين فأخرجنا من كان فيها من المؤمنين فما وجدنا فيها غير بيت من المسلمين وتركنا فيها آية للذين يخافون العذاب الأليم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that they been sent to this wicked people and send upon them stones of baked clay. These stones were marked as a name on it. And because of the time, I have to cut it short. Ibrahim alayhi salam was worried. What about Lut? They said, don't worry. Lut will be saved, his family except his wife. But what about the believers? Would you destroy the village if it has 300 believers? They said, wouldn't. Do they have, he doesn't know what's happened. He said, maybe they have 100 believers. He said, not a single 100 believer. 10, nothing. He kept going down numbers and they said, there is not that number. There's not that many believers. Then he said, how many believers there? They said to him, only one household. Only one household. Only one house is Muslim, which is the house of Lut alayhi salam. And by the way, he called them Muslim because Islam is the action that you do it in public. Iman is what's between you and Allah. That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, only there is one house which is Muslim. But when Allah said, when we only saved the mu'min among that house. That's why that excluded his wife. Because in her heart, she never was a believer. Outside, she looks like a Muslim. But inside, no. That's why Allah did not call, we found a house of believers, a house of Muslims only. Anyway, going back to the point. So after that, these angels walk to Lut, which shows you Lut doesn't live very far away. And they came in the shape for deceiving the people, in the shape of 3 young men, looked very handsome. Oh my Lord. There's debate. Where did they approach his house? They were outside, and the daughters of Lut find them first, said, wait here until we get our father. Because what Lut used to do, any traveler he sees, he bring them, he hosts them, he kind of cover them so they'll not be exposed, not be seen by the people, to save them until he give them a safe pass. So he tried to do the same thing with these 3. And when he met them, he said, can you move? Can you take another route? That's not a good place to be in or spend the night. They said, no, we are going to spend the night. He was so upset. He was so, and it was a terrible, يوم عصيب. He said, I know it's a bad day today. And he kept telling them, they walking behind him to his house, can you leave? Those people are bad. He said, don't worry about it. We just want you to give us our right as a guest. He said, okay. So basically, he took them to the house. The moment they entered the house, who saw them? His wife. His wife ran and she told the people, hey, he has 3 young, beautiful, handsome men. They rushed to him. Yuhra'un, Al-Quran said, Yuhra'un, rushing, racing. Who will get them first? And they tried to push the door while Lut holding the door. I just don't need to imagine that. And he closing the door and they tried to push to enter. And he said to them, no, you will never touch. Don't disgrace me in front of my guests. They are my guests. He said, go to your woman. This is my daughter. My daughter here, obviously, he never offered his daughter for them to sleep with his daughter. He would never offer his daughter for them to marry because they are kuffar and they do what you know. No, but he meant banati, yani any prophet is like a father to his people. So all the women of the village is considered his daughter. Or banati, yani your woman. That's why in the other verse became more clear. And you leave the spouses that Allah have given you. You're leaving the spouses, the woman that Allah have made for you, and you going after this. They said, you know, we have no interest in women. You know what we want. تعلم ما نريد. You know what we want. And you know what we desire. And you know what we desire. So basically, finally he said, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help. At this critical moment, Jibreel came, and he, with his wing, he wiped over with his hand. He threw something on them, and some people said he just waved, and they became blind. They lost their sight, and they were touching the walls. They couldn't know where they were. And they told Lut, don't worry, we are a messenger from Allah. They will not touch you. They will not touch us. Don't worry. So the people got blind. They thought he threw something in their eyes. They can't, like a spray or something. So they said, wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to come and we're going to get them. Then they told Lut, don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about tomorrow. What you need to do, you need to leave tonight. And in the middle of the night, or at the end of the night, you need to leave. And it looks like they left before Fajr. From what you read the story in the Quran, it seems to be not clear, but it seems to be they left before Fajr, in the end of the night. And he told them, the angel told them, when you leave, you don't look back. You don't look back. No matter what loud voice you hear, what light you feel, what movement you feel, whatever, don't ever look back. Lut, his two daughters, some said three, and his wife, they left. Not a single person followed them. Not a single person went out with them. And he went towards him, to his uncle, Ibrahim alayhi salam. Some said, no, he went to Al-Hijaz. Okay, there's a debate where did he ended up going. Some said, no, he went to one of the villages, which is among this region, but it didn't do the liwa. Allah, it looks like there is no proof or anything about this from the Prophet ﷺ, at least, or the Sahaba I couldn't find. And he left. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did to this village. Okay. The way that the Quran speaks about how this village was destroyed, by four things. Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it upside down. فَجَعَلْنَا عَلِيَهَا سَافِلَهَا. And where command come, we turn the city upside down. Jibreel put his wing under it, and he pulled it all the way up, as Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, said, to the extent that the angels in the heavens, they heard their voices. And nothing moved. Even their cups with the water, when they lifted up, it was still. Nothing. Their pots still hanging. When they lifted all the way to the sky, then they put it upside down. Just destroyed them. And then their animals, everything. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said also, وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ حِجَارَةً مِّن سِجِّيلٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and clustered stones of baked clay rained down, and we rained down, rained down on them clustered stones of baked clay. Musawwama, mark. Every stone has the name of the person. Al-ulama rahimahullah said, so after he destroyed them like that, upside down, did he send the rain or send the stones or what? They said the stones was maybe after he did that to them, whoever is still alive, the stone came on them. But also they said, because he did this to the main village, the other people who from this village were not in the village that night, the stones reached them and killed them, wherever they were at. And even some of the narration of the scholar said, one of them was in Mecca. And the stone was kept hanging until he left Al-Haram, then he was killed by it. And the same thing they said about his wife. When his wife heard the voice and the noise, this is her people. Remember, that's her village, her tribe. She looked back. The moment she looked back, a stone came and killed her instantly. So that's, the stones were meant for those who are maybe not in that village. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, among the things, sayha azima, a great noise, scary noise, was combined by lifting them up and putting them down. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, rijsan min as-sama'. One of the interpretation, rijs, nar, fire. So it could be these stones have fire in it to them. So you can see how this is a severe punishment. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and what this is basically a reminder for you. Inna fi dhalika la ayat, the signs for those who contemplate. Also, many verses, there is a clear signs for people to understanding, so they can understand and reflect how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala punished them for their kufr and for their disbelief and for their opposing to their messenger and for their evilness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have left sign from this city until today. What are the signs that left from the city? Ibn Abbas said, a ruined water, which is today they refer to, which is the Dead Sea. The ruined water. And there's no really proof. There is a debate if the Dead Sea is the place or not. It seems to be like that. But Ibn Abbas called water which is dark, black. I haven't seen the Dead Sea. I don't know if it looks black or not. But Ibn Abbas said it's ruined black water, dead. Nothing lived there anymore. And some scholars said, no, actually, some of their cities and the stone that is marked, that's why some of the described version, it has lines, green and red and black, and these stones, this made of clay, it actually was marked on some of the houses. And the people of Mecca have witnessed some of that. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, we left from it something for you to see. And it was in your road when you traveled. So that's why some Mufassirin said that the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the people of Mecca were very familiar with what happened to them, and they have seen some of that thing that left from this village. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I want to end with lessons. But before the lessons, I have a question. Do we do the wheel?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you could keep it for a question, and then the winner or the participant gets a spin if they get the answer.
Excellent. So my question is, when it comes to how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what's the punishment that the people of Lut have received? We mentioned 4 things. Can you mention 3 of them?
Okay, I saw Brother Ali Imran's hand go first. SubhanAllah, you raised your hand before the question was done, so let's
doesn't count.
That right. That doesn't count. Okay, sorry.
Because that's blocking.
Ali, you got disqualified.
Sorry. Yeah, you only raise your question, your hand when the question is asked.
Okay, so
don't say the answers. Don't give it to somebody. We need to see the memory.
The next person is Sister Reem from Boston. You could unmute yourself, inshallah, and you could.
I don't know if Imran raised his hand before the question or not, but if he did, it doesn't qualify.
Sister.
Sorry, Imran, I love you.
Boston.
Assalamu alaikum. So it was flipping them upside down.
Upside down.
Throwing clay rocks at them.
Stoning them.
And blinding them.
No, blinding them, that was in the night before.
Was it the wind?
No. You're just helping the person after you by giving that person 2 points from the 3.
Reem last.
How about think about.
I was gonna say, Reem, last try before we pass it on, because you're so near. If not, we're gonna pass it on to somebody else.
Okay.
Come on, Reem.
Um,
Woo!
wait.
And 5, 4, 3, 2,
I
1.
got a charade.
And time is up.
Okay.
Sorry,
Somebody else.
Reem. Sorry, we're gonna mute you back. All right, we're gonna go to the next hand up. Hassan Y from Calgary, Canada. Bismillah, you could unmute yourself and raise name 3 things out of 4, inshallah. Brother Hassan from Calgary.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. Yeah, so the 4, like, one was a nar. There was a fire that could have happened. Yeah, a
Very
fire,
good.
a very loud sound, and there were
And the other
stones.
2 that Sister Reem
Yeah,
said.
the stones
Yes.
of big clay.
Very good. Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, mashallah. So, Brother Hassan from Calgary, you will get the spin. Let me share my screen here. Okay, I believe you see my screen. All right, here you go. So, Brother Hassan, we're gonna give you a spin. Bismillah, let us take a look. Everybody make dua for him. Oh, mashallah. Congratulations, Brother Hassan. You get behind the scenes online for free, an entire online seminar that you're going to be getting for free for your participation. I feel that you also
Thank you.
a big thank you for that also. Inshallah.
Right. What we learned from the story of Lut alayhi salam. I'll try to make this in the next 7-8 minutes, and we shall call for that. Number 1, the da'iyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the person and the member of the Muslim community, society, especially those who are active in da'wah and participating in da'wah, must have a great deal of patience. Being patient is so important, especially dealing with the amount of kufr and amount of corruption that you might see in the society. I just want you to imagine you living in that society. I mean, we complain about that, about some of us complain about how much kufr there is, how much indecency, how much things changing, how bad things here and there, just being in Montreal, San Francisco, kind of challenge. And sometimes you say, oh my God, it's kind of hard. Just I want you to imagine, you still can go to the masjid and you have your community and you go to your brothers and sisters and you go to classes. Lut was by himself. And I bet you anything, any one of these societies, China, Europe, Africa, Middle East, whatever countries think of, and corruption you think of, and immorality act that you can think of, it's not gonna reach the level of people of Lut. Like the combination of things that they do. Or maybe it will, I don't know. But it is so hard. And I can imagine he himself and his 2 daughters in this society. He never ran away. He actually moved to them, even though it is known to be a bad place. It is a great lesson for us at Du'at, is not to be so angry at the society as much as we care about guiding them. And not to think that we have very unique situation. Number 2, I think one of the hardest tests that can ever a person be tested with, for me, when I think about the story of Lut, one of the things that I think it was the hardest for Lut is not just his people not accepting his da'wah, nobody became Muslim, it is his own wife is corrupt. It's hard when a member of your own family, the dearest, the closest to you, who don't believe in you, which shows you that Iman is just not a logical thing. It's a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not based on proof and how much you really think is true. It's about how pure your heart is, how good your heart is. And if you notice, this example repeats a lot in the life of the Prophet. It was in Nuh's son, Ibrahim's father, Lut's wife, Nuh's wife, Muhammad ﷺ's uncle. If you notice, that's a very common trend. And this is for us to to know that, you know what, I beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I am so grateful that I'm mu'min. Ya akhi, Fir'aun's, Nabi, prophet, his wife didn't believe. And you're a believer. That's a great lesson, to be thankful and grateful to Allah. Also to be worried about your family and to make sure that you always ask them to have that purity of heart, because that's really what saved them. Another lesson, that your relationship, what will benefit you in the akhirah and in the dunya, what will bring iman to you, is not because it's not guarantee you became a mu'min or a believer just because your father is a religious person or your mother is a religious. Not because we are Muslim, our children are immune from kufr or going astray. Don't think that way. Also, in the day of judgment, it will not benefit you anything. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. Allah gave an example to the kuffar of the two women, the woman of Lut and the woman of Nuh, that they basically betrayed their husbands, and betrayed their husbands. They didn't commit zina, no, but they were hypocrites, as it's been said. They show iman and they had hypocrisy. They basically cannot. Nuh, his wife, used to tell her people, my husband is crazy. And Lut, his wife, used to tell them about the guests. Number 3 or 4. If you are so attached to sins and to haram, you end your life in misery. Your ending is terrible. Lut's wife, she lived all her life with this hypocrisy in her heart. No iman in her heart. Loved the sin, even though she didn't practice it, but she loves it. Allah destroyed her with the people of Lut. That's what sin leads to, so be careful. 4, you notice that this sins that they do, the immorality acts that they used to do, subhanAllah, associated with kufr, associated with disbelief, associated with rejecting the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the more people are far away from Allah, the more they are far away from morality. They lose their moral compass. And look at, even if you study in modern days, like the Enlightenment era in Europe, when Europeans start adopting, these theories like the Marx and Freud, Darwin, and they came with ideas that to put God out of the picture and push God far away from the public square, and atheism became intellectual thing, that the curving moment where immorality goes and skyrocket. Yes, it doesn't mean it's not exist before. I know it exists. It exists, but there is a huge difference between how openly it is, how far it goes, and to make it something that as if it is something legislated and okay and even rights and things of that nature. There is no doubt, nobody can compare the amount of corruption that we see today in society to 100 years ago, 300 years ago, and you can see they are associated. The more the trend goes up with denying God, the more the immorality became worse and worse. Same thing we have to watch in our level as a community. The less attachment to Allah, the less religious our community is, the more receptive they are for fawahish. So make sure that you insert the love and the fear and the iman and the tawheed in the heart of the generation to immune them from such a future. 5, we have to understand that even though Allah created you upon a fitrah that is pure, it's easy to be corrupted. And the people of Lut is very clear how things that is obvious to be bad, and it becomes very normal in public, done. Even things simple like disrespecting people, will be talking, releasing gas and making farts in front of people's face, and and robbing and raping the people who are traveling. stoning people while they're things became so natural, fun. Beside leaving what Allah have made for the natural things, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created men and women to intimate together, to be intimate with the same gender. 6, that story shows that al-liwat, the sin of having a sexual relationship with the same gender, it's a major sin in Islam. And if somebody believes it's halal, it's kafir, it's not a Muslim. 7, also, we have to understand that since fitrah, purity, can be corrupted, brainwash can happen, what is required from us is to make sure to defend, to push back on that, to protect, to build a protection. And by the way, protection different than phobia. We should not have a phobia. Like I didn't like when I heard one of the du'at once said, oh, you should be, have a phobia about these issues. No, you should not. You should have protection. You should have a good choice, a smart, informed choice. That I don't choose that tribe because it's wrong, because it's haram. Like the way I don't choose the route of drugs, I don't choose the route of drinking, I don't choose to do adultery. 8, it is, and that shows that it's important to build that. Don't wait until your kids hear about it from somebody else. And kids exposed to this in a very, very early age. So unfortunately, you have to have that hard talk in a very, very good way in a very early age. And as a community, we should provide for the community tools, suggestions, how to have this conversation, how to approach this to kids, how to talk about it, how to do cartoons about it to educate them without being insulting, without being seen as phobic or hysteria. No. Again, and that's something collectively people of religion can work together into this. Muslim, Christian, Jews, etc. Whoever remain among them stand with us in the same defense line that we are holding. Number 9. Also, it is clear in the Quran that the people of Lut among they are first to do it. Okay, that's why Amr ibn Dinar said it never ever happened to fear a man on the top of a man before the people of Lut. And that to reject that idea that this is genes or something you're born with or genetically embedded on you. 9, being involved in fulfilling your desires in haram way block you from iman, lead you to kufr. I've seen people choose kufr just because they told me, you know what, since homosexuality is haram in Islam, I will never be a Muslim. Or I leave Islam because I want to be a gay. That's how, or other sins, since this is the topic of today. So fulfilling these desires so much lead to it's wrong that the solution is to do like some other people did. The solution is to not to leave Islam. So you know what? It's okay. It's really not. If it's a rape, it's haram. But if it's not rape, it's maybe okay. What's this? That's not the solution. The solution is to bring people to their senses, to their fitrah. 10. One of the things that is I learned from this story, not because it's culture, it means it's okay. Not because it's a common thing, it means it's okay. It was a common thing for people to strip or to show their aura in public or to release gas and make sounds and farting publicly. That didn't make it okay. That didn't make it acceptable. So today, look at modern days. Oh, Baba, everybody doing that. Oh man, everybody doing that. Oh, I'm an American. I'm a Canadian. I'm a European. I'm Australian, I'm Egyptian, I'm Saudi, I'm Yemeni, whatever, I'm Pakistani. That doesn't, if it's haram, it's haram. It doesn't matter how popular this is in your culture. If it's wrong, it is wrong. Another lesson we learned from this, which is there is two levels. One level is to commit a sin, and another level is to do it openly. Doing the sin openly is worse than doing the sin in itself. Number 12. There is a difference between practice the sin and believing it is halal. I don't want to go into this because this is very ugly to go into it. And it hurt me. And it's one of the things that really hurt me a lot when I was researching and preparing for this class, for this talk. I forgot about it. I read it maybe when I was much, much younger than now. But just to refresh some of this information and to read more about it was something that made me sick. I was searching about the act of liwat, which is a man having a sex with the same another man, or and a woman with another woman. How in Islamic history, like how was it? Because I know in certain time, especially in the Abbasi, it became popular among princes, governor, to the extent even judge was accused with that. Even somebody said, "Amiruna yartashi wa hakimuna yalut wa sharru baynana ras." Our prince take pride, and our governor commit homosexuality, and evil is so rooted in the society. He will punish somebody commit adultery, but he will let go if someone do liwat. It's just so, to the extent that you read in history that there is something called al-ghulamiyat, if you ever heard of the term al-ghulamiyat, that at certain time in the Abbasi time, if the girl want to be popular and to prostitute herself, well, you know what she will do? She will start dressing like young men and have the same clothes and act like them, so she will be more popular. To that's how popular that was in certain society level, not onto the masses, but in certain circle in society. And if you want to know how bad this is, read Al-Jawab Al-Kafi by Ibn Al-Qayyim. The whole book was actually about a man who said, I am in love with another man and I can't get this love of him out of my heart. So how can I deal with that? And Ibn Al-Qayyim wrote the answer in Al-Jawab Al-Kafi. Why I'm bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because we need to wake up. What we're dealing with today is not something new. And by the way, no need for us to act holy about our history or about our present. But what we need to act realistically. Our religion is holy. Our deen is pure. But you know what? Don't point finger and make fun and you know what? We have problems too. But these problems, we dealt with it in the past and we should continue dealing with it. We should not use it as a form of discrimination, a form of making fun of people, no, it's a challenge for us how to face that challenge, how to convince people that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have said and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have revealed and what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam have taught us is the right thing. That kind of attitude is just, oh, may Allah curse them, you kuffar, you should be all killed. That's not going to take us anywhere. Especially among our community, especially for us who live in society, in open society like us. But historically, what's so interesting, historically, this never was an identity like what we have today. And one of the people who talk a lot and good about this, Brother Mubin, maybe you can look his talk about this issue and sexuality, how it became an identity today more than just a desire. Anyway, 13. You notice that the people of Lut did not accept Lut's choice and freedom of choice. They told Lut, if you don't, yani Lut was not even allowed to say this is haram, was not allowed to tell people that's not allowed. And if he opened his mouth, he was kicked out, he was cast, he was labeled, he was called terrorist, he was called a person who caused incoherence in society. These are the labels that was used against him. And the word and the way, that's why they want to kick him out. You're not allowed to enter our country. You're not to live in our country. You're not allowed to take our citizenship. History repeats itself. I mean, the issue is not to recognize that this is a choice by someone. No. The issue today is to strip you the choice from believing that this is immoral. And that's a very, very dangerous route. Okay. I was told I need to end the session. I don't know because of the topic or because of the time. Type. In a secular society like us, we have to agree in protecting people's rights. In a sense, the people's rights of expression, of religion, of their freedom, but also at the same time, I think as a Muslim community, it has to be understood. We also say that we don't ever support in a secular society like this. Like some people said, what kind of right that you want us to protect for the gay community or homosexuality? Yes, I think there is a common right, regardless what sin or what religion or what God that you believe in, whatever you are. There are certain things in this secular society we all should agree on keep it up. Like, for example, the right of safety, the right of security. We don't allow the bullying gay in schools or anything like that. That's not allowed. That's not something we should support or we should not only not support, we should stand against. The right for education, the right for work, the right for earning, the right for health, the basic human right that I think it is in our society should be respected by all. We should not legislate for harming people just based on their sexual orientation. But in the same time, we must have a very clear stand where we stand from this action, where we stand from this in society. That's why, and that's a sensitive, and I think it's important for me to touch upon it. People ask, what about cooperation with, homosexual or gay community defending rights and minority rights and things of that nature? I actually say the person should avoid any alliance, because the problem is not the issue. The problem is the agenda that this group will have. I would never say, I would say it is allowed or it's for someone to go under the banner of this type of ideologies and you became under their banner. But if there is someone like a political party who does not represent that, does not carry that entity in itself, it's a common ground, and you have a group of people, somebody, for example, run for immigration rights or some for education or whatever, then maybe some gay community came to the rally or support this. That's I will say this is also with taking consideration who is participating, what's the percentage of participation from different groups, what kind. There is a lot of things to be looked at and considered. But that's something maybe in a very limited capacity outside. I have no problem for some Muslims to participate on that. But unfortunately, we see people cross the line a lot in this area. I think one of the lessons also in regard to this, when he said, I wish that I have power to push back. I say the same thing today. We should have power to push back. And the power today comes from what? Media, from research institutes, medical research, in psychology, in sociology, and politicians, law. There's people who will be able to defend our rights. It's a strength that we need. Another thing on the side, Nabi Sallallahu said, may Allah have mercy on Lut. He relied in a very strong alliance supporter, which is Allah. I want to say this to so many of my brothers and sisters out there who just run towards, the gay community for support to protect minority rights. As if there is the only way to support the minority rights by the specific group. I'm not asking you to be their enemy and to fight them, or to be in society. No, I'm not asking that. But I'm asking you, remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with you. That's number one. Number two, look for alternatives that's more closer to us, align with us. We became a joke. Anyway, one of the lessons, you can protect yourself and family, even in a society like the people of Lut, like Lut alayhi salam did. At the end of the day, he left when Allah destroyed them. We should be, as a society, known as Lut was known. Yatatahharun. Him and his family are pure and care for purity. We as a community should be known for that, should be leading that. I have 28 points, but I will.
So
I will end here, and I will say in the end that one of the things that you learn from Lut alayhi salam, the clarity of da'wah. He asked them to come to Tawheed. He was straight to the point. Lut alayhi salam dealt with the social issues of his time, the social crisis of his time. Like Shu'aib dealt with the economic crisis in his time, and a social issue as well. It is wrong for the du'at ilallah. Yes, we call for Tawheed, but that's also important, but it doesn't stop here. You also have to deal with the social issue of our time. So we have an issue of racism, issue of discriminations, issue of poverty, issue of, abuse, power, occupations, issue of many issues, social issues that we're living in. Women's rights been violated. Human rights violated in your country and your locally. And I'm just using those terms here to keep things general. But look at the issue of your time, and you have to deal with it also. You should not just put your head in the sand, or you just say only the Tawheed is the asas, is the foundation, 100%. But no contradiction between this and talking about the issue of your time as well that is needed. That's why you see even the focus in the story of Lut about this issue, the focus of the story of Shu'aib about the issue of economic. Not because there's no kufr, there is. Not because they didn't focus on it, they focus on it. But you can have multiple area of focus as well. And that's a great lesson for us. When he told them, I'm clear, I'm not looking for money. I hope that today many people who take the banners and representing the Muslim community, they're not asking to make a name or a living out of representing us as a Muslim community, or making a political career out of us. You want to have a political career, go ahead, do as an activist, leftist, socialist, or conservative, whatever it is, but just don't bring Islam to the middle. But if you're gonna talk and run with the banner of Muslim community, this community and this religion have a standard and have ethics. It should be protected. I know there's a lot to be said, but hopefully this long talk of at least a little bit of benefit for you. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, for the insightful, detailed discussion. So as you all saw, and I see in the chat box below, people are still, asking for a little bit more to share of those gems, the 28 points. Alhamdulillah, we had the opportunity to share a few. And right now on YouTube, because we're also live on YouTube and multiple pages on Facebook, there is a fundraiser that is being launched right now. And I will ask Sister Hafsa or the chat mods to share that link in this chat box below so that people here on this chat could participate in the fundraising as well. I'm pretty sure you all benefited from this session. I'm pretty sure you enjoyed it. You benefited how detailed it was, the discussion, new information that was not mentioned before. And we tackled the story of Lut and the topic that that comes with it right from the beginning. So we ask you, if you enjoyed that, if you liked it, we ask you to continue to support, inshallah, and we know that we call upon your generosity and your kindness for you to support Al-Maghrib Institute through the link that will be shared. Now, Sheikh Waleed, I have a few questions that people, the drill, everybody just send the questions to me, inshallah. And I will be.
I don't know if we have time for questions, though. But Sister Hafsa, what's the deal? I guess I took both reflections and this together. That's right.
Yes. Do you have the reflection for the verse also prepared?
I did, but I'm not going to be able to do it right now.
Because we touched upon. I mean, the 20th juz. We start with Surah An-Naml, and you quoted some verses from Surah An-Naml.
Yeah, story float in Surah An-Naml.
Yeah.
And Surah Al-Ankabut as well.
So yeah, we could bring it back to those. What do you prefer, Sheikh? Would you prefer to take the questions that were submitted?
No, we can take some. I have actually another lecture in 7 minutes.
Okay.
So, but
right. Okay.
I think so.
Do you want to share the link to your other lecture? Maybe we can watch it. Where is it going to be?
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Hold a second. I can hear you.
Yes. So, okay. So while
let's start with.
So while we figure it out, inshallah, I'm just going to ask you, by the way, because I know there are a lot of people that are not familiar with Al-Maghrib Institute. Hafsa or chat mods, why don't we drop the link to the Al-Maghrib Facebook page?
I'm sorry. I just want to say, I have to go in 5 minutes exactly, or 6 minutes. But I just want to say that thank you for giving me the opportunity to refresh my information about Lut alayhi salam. And I was I wish that we have more time just to focus on the story, because there is a lot of details in it and interesting meanings that the ulama rahimahullah and the books of tafsir mention. But I want to say that one of the best way to ensure safety for our community is to spread knowledge, and the knowledge will bring us closer to Allah. And because you need that strength in front of the fitan, and that's one of the verses that is going to comment on it in Surah Al-Ankabut. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, do you think you will be left to say, I believe, and you will not be tested? We get tested in many ways. And I mentioned today 2 tests, the one with his wife, not being believer, and his people rejecting him. It's a test to stay years and years and years. Not a single one became Muslim. Not a single one accept your da'wah. That's a test. A test to be surrounded with so much corruption and evil and bad. That's a test. And no one, that's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, the one who tested the Muslim Anbiya, that's very true. That's very, very true. And we didn't even have anything close to that in our test. But what would really will help us to this test is to be a strong community and a community of knowledge. And I'm not saying this as a tool to fundraise or anything like that. But I really want to appeal personally to each and every one of you to support generously Al-Maghrib. This alhamdulillah, Al-Maghrib been a source of inspiration and strength to so many people around the world. Open the door for so many people like me to benefit great people like yourself. And I really want this to continue, inshallah, for generations to come. You can donate to Al-Maghrib's Waqf, you can do to Al-Maghrib projects that we have, and you can take advantage of the offer that Al-Maghrib having. You donate. In return, we give as a gift an access, for example, to the online. It's not a sale. It's actually a gift. I wish that we reach to a point, where we can give everything for free. But as you know, life is expensive. The level of work, the level of professional that we're aiming for is not cheap. It's a college, and it required, responsibility towards our teachers, employees, people. And without the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the volunteering that we get, we'll not even be here today. But at least there is a responsibility we have to fulfill, and that's really required. And not only that, in Al-Maghrib, we have a code, and we learned that code from you guys, from our community that I have seen. Our community is not settling for less. Our aim in Al-Maghrib is not to survive. We don't want our goal for our community to survive, for the day to go by. No, our goal is to make us thrive, is to go high, is to be strong, is to be influential, is to be a source of kindness and relief and purity and relief, a source of light, like a beacon. So that's really what drives me every day. That brings me while I'm fasting to speak for 1 hour and 10 minutes to you, and making Hafsa so angry at me, for breaking all the rules. And Ibrahim, when the Sheikh will come to an end. But alhamdulillah, I just want to say this from the bottom of my heart. I'll be more than happy to have a special session for questions and answers to come back for it. But I have to pray Asr then to get ready for my next talk. I sincerely apologize. 1.5 hours. Okay, you have to rub it in. Thank you. Wallahi, it felt like 10 minutes. I'll tell you the truth. I don't know about you, but it's how it felt. And that means you guys, even though I don't see all of you, but you guys look great, mashallah. I really enjoy talking to every one of you, and I see your beautiful smiles. I just don't want to mention names, so to embarrass anybody, but I'm really very, very happy that I was able even to talk while I'm talking, going through the slides and see like the gallery mood. I wish you guys the best of Ramadan and the best days to come. And I hope, inshallah, to meet you guys soon in the last 10 days of Ramadan. And those who speak Arabic, I have a lecture on Monday in Arabic. First time in Maghrib, I think, to host something in Arabic. It's called 60 lessons or point of benefits from Fath al-Bari, the explanation of Sahih Bukhari in Book of Siyam. Inshallah, I'm planning to do it in English too. So that's going to be a test on Monday, and maybe a day or two we can do that also in English. But maybe we'll do some reflection one night, Quran reflections, or we keep in touch. My Facebook have a lot of interactive activity, talks and stuff like that. So please just be supportive of Maghrib, even whatever you can, even if it's $1. But just don't let this session end without giving some support. That's all I have for you guys tonight.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Right now, everybody, you see on the screen the poster that Sheikh Waleed mentioned. It's going to be an Arabic lecture, 60 benefits or fa'idah min Fath al-Bari, Sharh Kitab al-Sawm.
See, they dress me in Arabic too. Okay, let me end with the dua, because this is a blessed night. So that's okay for my side.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
and
Allah,
we would
I ask
like
you
to
by
know.
your names. Yeah. You can do whatever you want after that. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by his names and attributes to accept from all of us our siyam, our qiyam, all our good deeds and our sadaqah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower us with his mercy, to protect us, and to protect our children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always make us and our family members see the truth the way it is and see the falsehood the way it is. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the love of Him, in the love of His religion, in the love of His messenger, and the love of His deen. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put in our hearts and the hearts of our family members, our spouses and our children, the love for goodness, for purity, and the hatred towards, and the dislike, and the disassociation with evilness. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to always aid us and help us to see the truth as truth and to be able to hold into it, and to see the falsehood as falsehood and to abstain and stay away from it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us a beneficial knowledge and a beneficial deeds, good deeds that will raise our level in Jannah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our parents. Ya Rabbi, 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 forgive the believing men and women. Allahumma ameen. صلى اللهم على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا.
Allahumma ameen, Allahumma ameen. Jazakallah khair once again. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Waleed, for
Assalamu alaikum.
that you give. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. If you want to tell us where the lecture is going to be given, is that going to be shared on your Facebook page? Oh no, we lost him. Khair, inshallah, because I know some of you want to go catch up the other lecture as well, mashallah. So, just to reiterate, please continue, like Sheikh Waleed Basyouni mentioned, it's extremely important that we support institutions that have been leading Islamic knowledge, authentic Islamic knowledge, that have been on the forefront of Islamic knowledge and teaching and inspiring. Personally, the first class that I took with Al Maghrib was maybe more than 10 years ago, over a decade, and it happened in Toronto. The only good thing that happened in Toronto was that class, and it was the story, the tafsir class of Surah Yusuf. And alhamdulillah, once I took that class, I got hooked. Once you take one class, you're going to take the other and the third, and you're going to love that environment, and you're going to start to want to volunteer and be part of the community or the local team, what we call qabila. And after a long time, alhamdulillah, I am right now still part of the qabila, leading the tribe of Montreal, Qabilat al-Asad. So it is, that feeling that, when you see and when you benefit firsthand, it means something. You see the benefit firsthand. And I saw numerous stories of people that, alhamdulillah, they got religious and they learned about their deen through those Al-Maghrib seminars. So continuing on the appeal that Sheikh Waleed Basyouni mentioned, asking you to support Al-Maghrib Institute generously. I know Sister Farisa from New York have been dropping some of the links that you can use. Sister Hafsa dropped some links. So yeah, there you go. MashaAllah. Jazakumullah khair once again. And the faith is the all access pass, the all access, you're not buying a product. You're not buying a service. You're making a contribution. You're making a generous donation. And in return, as a thank you, you're supporting the cause. Because if you tell yourself you're buying a product, then you're limiting yourself. You're limiting the reward that you can get, right? You are supporting an entire institution, okay, that is there to educate people, to provide Islamic knowledge. And we all know how you feel your iman increase when you are attending those circles of knowledge, right? So when you support them in that way, you will get access to Faith Essentials, a learning hub, all the live seminars, like the same setup that we have, where you could raise your hand, ask your questions, you could interact. I could listen to your reflections, your gems. I could benefit from you. You could benefit from me, and so on and so forth. We benefit from each other. Those are the virtual seminars. And we also have our online seminars for those who have a busier schedule. They can't attend virtual. So we have different seminars that are online. You watch the recordings, but it's not just completely online. You have Q&A sessions. You have live Q&A sessions with the instructors. And one of the seminars that is featured right now is His Majesty. His Majesty, all the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's about the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we saw how in the dua the Shaykh Waleed Basyouni prayed or recited before concluding, how he used certain names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those treasures that we can access, are there for that. Those names are there for us to use them, to call upon them, to call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through those names, right? To access Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's benefits through those names. So His Majesty, yes, I see Sister Farisa just posted it. The link almaghrib.online. His Majesty, learning the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, developing and strengthening your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't know how to call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I wonder what kind of relationship is that. So that is the link almaghrib.online. And also Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, we just saw and we all loved, will have a seminar after Ramadan, inshallah, that will go, it will be an online seminar about Aqidah, right? About Aqidah, about Iman or faith, the most important part of, the religion, right? It's that Aqidah, that faith. What do we believe in? Our faith, okay? Our beliefs. So we will have that seminar on the Al-Maghrib online world, inshallah, so you don't want to miss that as well. I think, Sis Hafsa, am I out of announcements? I am out of announcements. Yeah, we're good. All right. So yes, unfortunately, it was not the traditional setup where we have a short lecture, right? And then we have Q&A, and then we have Quranic circle reflection. But alhamdulillah, we broke away from that, and it was definitely worth it, right? Show me a thumbs up if you agree. Show me a thumbs up. The people on Zoom, show me a thumbs up. People on YouTube, people on Facebook, join the Zoom session. Join. We have approximately 11, 12 days left. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who live and benefit from those days. Allahumma ameen. I see those thumbs up on mashallah on Zoom. So those watching on YouTube, those watching on Facebook across multiple pages, we want you to join. We want you here with us where the action is happening. We want you to be part of our Zoom community where the fun is happening, and also where you can get the chance to spin the wheel. But make sure you don't pull a Brother Ali Imran move. Don't raise your hand if the Sheikh is not done with the question. Trying to sneak one in there, being the first one, ready to take all questions. But mashallah, props to you, Brother Ali. It takes a lot of courage to do that. It takes a lot of courage to do that. To raise your hand before the question is being asked like that, you're ready to answer any question. MashaAllah. So, with that being said, we mentioned all access on Maghrib, yes, and we have the link. But Sister Farisa, this is the link for the people on Zoom. How are the people on YouTube or Facebook going to access the Zoom chat? Ya Allah. Okay, we're going to give it a pass. Ramadan, people are fasting. They're not focused. Had it been somebody from Toronto, then we would have been roasting them right now. Roasting them. But alhamdulillah, New Yorker, Farisa has been very supportive, mashallah. So we're going to let that slide, inshallah. So, jazakumullah khair, everyone. Unfortunately, we didn't have the time to do that Q&A, but, we broke away. Everybody here supported. They approved, alhamdulillah. Everybody liked it, alhamdulillah. Jazakumullah khair for that. And سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك اللهم ونتوب إليك سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. This is your brother Ibrahim, your host for today's session. I look forward to seeing you in the future. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi